Okay, today I'm going to take the answers of extra questions that I had already uploaded from the chapter The Living Organisms and Their Surroundings of Class 6 Science. So please watch the video till the end, and here we are starting without wasting any time. So here is the first question. Define organisms. Organisms in your textbook has given as living creatures. So how can you define organisms? Organisms are the living creatures present in our environment. Second question. Define habitat. That's a direct question from your NCERT textbook, page number 81. It's the word habitat is given in bolded form. So the surroundings where organisms live is called a habitat. Okay. Next question. Define adaptation. It is also a direct question from your NCERT. That is the presence of specific features or certain habits which enable a plant or an animal to live in its surrounding is called adaptation. The same thing is same sentence has been given in your summary too. So that is an important one. Page number 81 is a place where you can find the definition for adaptation. So the presence of specific features or certain habits which enable a plant or an animal to live in its surrounding is called adaptation. Next question. Which are the two types of habitat, and explain them. There are two types of habitat are, point number 1, write like this. The two types of habitat, point number 1 is terrestrial habitat, and point number 2 you can write aquatic habitat. Then what you have to write is that again write terrestrial habitat and write its definition, like the plants and animals that live on land are said to be the terrestrial habitats. Are said to live in terrestrial habitats. That is also direct one. You can write example: forest, grassland, desert. You can write the examples as given in your textbook. Second one, the habitats of plants and animals that live in water are called aquatic. So you can modify the definition of terrestrial habitat like this. The habitats of plants and animals that live on land are called terrestrial habitats. Once again, the habitats of plants and animals that live on land are called terrestrial habitats. Then you can write the example for like what forest, grassland, deserts, coastland, mountain regions. Then you have to write number 2, aquatic habitats. That is the habitats of plants and animals that live in water. It's called aquatic habitat, or are called aquatic habitats, and note down its examples too. That is ponds, swamps, lakes, rivers, and oceans. Clear? Next question. Okay, next fifth question. What are biotic components? Biotic components are the living things such as plants and animals in a habitat. So the living things in a habitat is called aquatic component. Biotic components. Clear? Once again, what are biotic components? The living things in a habitat are called biotic components. Example, plants and animals. Clear? Next, what are abiotic components? The non-living things in the habitat is called abiotic components. The non-living things in the habitat is called what? Abiotic components. You can write the example as rocks, soil, air, and water. Clear? Next question. Why does camel can survive without water for many days? Okay, so through this question you have to actually mention out the adaptations of camel which help it survive in the desert. Because in deserts you know that water is very less. Scarcity of water is the main problem in the desert. So how does camels, which are the major organisms present in that place, how do they survive? So here, why does camels can survive without water for many days? So there will be some adaptations. So first one, the thing is that it is given in your NCERT textbook, page number 80. So I'll just tell you by point and point. So first point is that the camels have long legs which help to keep their bodies away from heat of the sand. Second one, they excrete small amount of urine. Their dung is dry and they do not sweat. So that it is telling, that sentence is telling all about its excretion. First sentence is telling about its physique. Third point is that they lose very little water from their bodies, thus they can live for many days without water. Okay, you may add to all these ones. The prime point should be the very first point of this answer should start like this: the body structure of the camel helps it to survive it. So that from that sentence onwards till the end of the paragraph you can write. So, and once again tell the points. First point should be the body structure of the camel helps it to survive in desert conditions. Second one, camels have long legs which helps it to keep their bodies away from the heat of the sun. Third one, they excrete small amount of urine and their dung is dry and did not sweat. Fourth one, they lose very little water from their bodies and they can live for many days without water. Clear? Next question. Okay, the sea and the desert are very different surroundings. Justify the same. That is a very direct statement taken from your textbook. Same paragraph. The sea and the desert are very different surroundings. Justify the same. What do you have to write? You just have to write about the climatic conditions, and you have to list down the adaptations adopted by the organisms in that area. Okay, so what about a sea? Let's discuss about sea, because how do the organisms there survive in the deserts as well? So you can write about the camel. So deserts are very hot, and you can write like this. First one, you may write the sea. In the sea, plants and animals are surrounded by salty water or saline water, and they use the air dissolved in water for respiration. That is about sea. Then you have to write down the adaptation adopted by the fishes. Okay, you may write also, you may include that too. It will be a good answer. So you may write like this: the shape of the fish, streamlined shape of the fish helps to move them inside the water, and they have slippery scales on their bodies, and these scales protect the fish for the easy movement through water and all. Okay, and they have flat fins and tails to change the direction. Gills are present them to use the oxygen dissolved in water. That is about the fishes. Now, talking about the desert, what you have to write? Desert are the places where very little water is available. It is very hot during the daytime and very cold during the night time. And the plants and the animals of the desert live in the desert, live on the desert soil, and they breathe air from the surroundings. So that is about, you have to describe about the first and foremost thing in this in the answer of this question must be like, in the sea it has write down about the sea, that is plants and animals are surrounded by salty water, they use, how do they breathe, so just mention that. Then in the desert case, write the paragraph given below. Sorry, I'm giving your textbook, NCERT textbook page number 80. That is, very little water is available. It is hot during the daytime and so very cold during the night time and all those stuff. Okay, then what you have to write? If needed, if the question is asked for 5 marks, then you may add the adaptations of these animals too. So depending upon the marks, please answer. Clear? Okay, let's move to the next question. Okay, why is it said that adaptation does not take place in a short time? So it is said because it is also, that answer is also given in your NCERT textbook page number 83. That is, adaptation does not take place in a short time. The very first sentence of the paragraph. Next, so why is it said like this? Because adaptation is something that cannot take place within a very short time, because it takes a very long time for the animals to get adapted into the. Yes, we know that the abiotic factors. Listen, my dear children, please do listen to the explanation that I am giving. Then we may go to the answer. See, the abiotic factors like soil, air, water, all these things of a particular place does not change very easily, because it takes thousands of years to change, right? So as it changes, the people will get adapted. The organisms will get adapted into that environment or climatic factors, and there will be some organisms that cannot adapt to these conditions. So gradually what will happen? Yes, these organisms will die out. For example, see, if we living in the plains, if you are living in a plain area, so we will get adapted to that climatic zone and all. But when we go to actually a very hot place like deserts, it will be very difficult for us to tolerate the hotness, everything of that climatic thing, everything of that particular place. We will actually, will sometimes people will get very difficult to tolerate and we'll just come back to our native place. Clear? And sometimes people will get some diseases and all these things. Diseases in the sense they will mentally, they diseases in the sense what we are not, why we are said to be not healthy, because we may not be mentally well, physically well, or some other factors. So we will not be able to get adapted to the environment very easily. So similarly, the abiotic factors they doesn't change very easily. So it will take time for the place to actually change the abiotic factor. So the organisms will get adapted to the that place gradually, and those organisms which cannot adapt will die out easily. So similarly, the answer for this question, first point should be over thousands of years the abiotic factors of a region change. So it will take thousands of years for a region to change its abiotic factors. Clear? Second thing, those animals which cannot adapt to these will die out and the only adapted ones will survive. And third one is that animals adapt to abiotic factors in different ways. That is enough. This much answer is enough. So you are just asked the reason why adaptation does not place in short period. The main answer is that the abiotic factors doesn't change over a short period of time. It takes thousands of years for the abiotic factors to change. Clear? Next question. Why does desert plants lose very little water through transpiration? Okay, let us discuss answer for that question too. As we all know that desert are areas where they lack water, scarcity of water is much. So what these desert plants actually have some adaptations which actually enable them to lose only very little water through transpiration. Transpiration is actually a process in which we know that we humans actually sweat. Similarly, plants also, they just lose the water from their body through a process called transpiration. That is actually called transpiration. So since desert areas are those areas where there is scarcity of water, what will these plants do as camels does, that is they store water, that means their dung is dry, their excreta is very small, little, and all these things. Similarly, the desert plants, they what they will do, they actually have an adaptation, like their leaves are either absent or will be very small, and it will be either in the form of spine. They actually have a thick waxy layer in their stem to retain the water. So why does desert plants lose very little water through transpiration? First point, deserts are places where actually scarcity of water is there. Second point, therefore the leaves of the desert plants are either absent or very small or maybe in the form of spines. Third one, the stem is also covered with a thick waxy layer which helps to retain the water. Clear? So that is desert plants grows very little. So the leaves, about you can tell about the leaves. Then also they since the leaves are in the form of spines, it helps in reducing the that is page number 83 of your textbook actually points out every important points of the answer. So why does desert plants lose very little water through transpiration? First point, that desert areas are places where they have scarcity of water. Second point, the leaves in the desert plants are either absent, very small, or they are present in the shape of spines. Third one, not third one, along with the second point itself, add like this, this helps in reducing the water from the leaves through transpiration. Next point, the leaf-like structure, the third point should be like this. The stem is covered with a thick waxy layer which helps to retain the water. Okay, and thus the desert plants have, and fourth point should be the desert plants have roots that go very deep into the soil for absorbing water. Clear? Okay, we are moving on to the next question, 11th question. Okay, how does trees adapt to mountainous areas? Okay, how does trees adapt to mountainous areas? First one is that the trees have cone-shaped and have sloping branches. Second point, the leaves are needle-like, which helps the rainwater and snow to slide off easily. Fourth one, there are different trees present. There are trees in the trees in the mountainous areas actually have different shapes and structures in order to get adapted into the atmosphere there. Clear? So only 3 points are necessary for this answer. That is, first one, the trees are normally cone-shaped and have sloping branches. Second one is about the leaves that have needle-like leaves, which helps the rainwater and snow to slide off easily. Then third point should be the trees have different shapes and structures in order to get adapted into the atmosphere there. Okay, 12th question. What are the write the adaptive features of animals in the mountainous areas. Okay, so about talking about that, first point should be they have thick skin or fur to protect them from cold. You are also provided with an example in your textbook. Yaks have long hair to keep them warm. Snow leopard have thick fur on its body, including feet and toes. Clear? This protect its feet from the cold when it walks on the snow. The mountain goat has strong hooves for running up the rocky slopes of the mountains. So you may write all these things. First point should be like this: they have thick skin and fur to protect them from. Write this the second point. Do not write like examples. Write the second point like yaks have long hair to keep them warm. Then write the next point as the case of snow leopard, and next one you can write about mountain goat. So include 5 points in this question. Clear? Next question. Compare and contrast the adaptive features of animals in grasslands to that of aquatic animals. Okay. So talking about the adaptive features of animals in grasslands, prey-predator relationship is very important. So what you have to write like in your textbook, the lion-deer relationship was given. So how can you write? How can you compare and contrast the adaptive? First of all, you have to make a table like adaptive features of animals in grasslands and adaptive features of animals in aquatic habitat. So you can write like this. First point in grassland should that animals living in grasslands show prey-predator relationship. On the other side, of the aquatic habitat, first point of the aquatic habitat is that in order to move inside the water, Allah. Okay, sorry. The thing is that okay, and the last question in this session is, what are blowholes? Blowholes are the nostrils. You may write like this: the nostrils that are located on the upper parts of the heads of dolphins and whales in order to breathe in the air. Okay, that's all. Let's move to the next question. Okay, what is a prey? Prey are the animals to eat, and who are predators? Predators are animals that actually are the animals that actually kill other animals and make it their prey. Okay. Of course, differentiate between the adaptive features of lion and deer. Very simple question that we had already discussed. Make a table and write the features of a lion in one and deer in another. That's all. Clear? As given in your textbook. How do dolphins and whales breathe? They breathe through blowholes or nostrils. That's enough. Now differentiate between terrestrial plants and aquatic plants. Terrestrial plants, you have to actually list down the characters of terrestrial plants, and then you have to list down those of aquatic plants. So how will you write? I'll tell you how to write. Okay, talking about the terrestrial plants, since they have plenty of water, availability of air and water is very high in terrestrial plants, but in aquatic plants, water is very high. availability of water is very high, right? So let's discuss about adaptation. That is about the plants living on the living inside water. They actually have water. Yes, they actually possess very stomata. About the stomata, I think it is not given. Okay, the aquatic plants are totally submerged in water. They have ribbon-like leaves, narrow ribbon-like leaves, and they can bend in the flowing water. In case of submerged plants, leaves are highly divided and through which the water can easily flow. In case of talking about the stems are long, hollow and light, and they can grow up to the surface of water, while leaves and flowers will float on the surface of water. Now talking about the terrestrial plants, the roots play a very important role in the absorption of nutrients, water from the soil. But in aquatic plants, roots are much reduced in size and their main function is to hold the plant in place. So you can write in a different, the first point in the differentiate, your first point should be like about the roots of terrestrial plants as well as aquatic plants. That's given in your textbook 86, page number 86. Then about the stems are very erect in case of terrestrial plants, but in case of aquatic plants these are long, hollow and light, and the purpose is the stem will grow up to the surface of water. But in case of aquatic plants, what is that? Yes, they remain a stem will sorry, in case of terrestrial it is erect, and in case of aquatic they will remain up to the surface of water. Leaves, everything will float. So everything is given in your textbook itself, so just go through the textbook. Right, the adaptive features of frog is a very next paragraph given in your NCERT page number 86, next paragraph. That is paragraph after the aquatic plants. Talking about that, frogs usually have ponds as their habitat. Starting paragraph. Each and every sentence is important. Just find it. Okay, list out the characteristics of living beings. That is a respiration. Every sub points, that is, they need food, they show growth, they respire, they respond to stimuli, they reproduce, they excrete. You may include all these things. Clear? Then what is a respiration? Respiration is a process through which oxygen is taken inside the body and carbon dioxide is produced out. That's it. Clear? Okay. Okay, the mechanism of breathing differs in different organisms. Justify the statement. It is because the places, that is the places where all the organisms survive, is also different. That's the reason why different mechanisms of gaseous exchange are present in the mechanism of breathing of different organisms, because different organisms adapt to different environment. That's the reason why they have different mechanism of breathing or different yes. Clear? Next one. What is stimuli? What is stimuli? Stimuli, that is changes in the surroundings that make us respond to them, are called stimuli. Page number 89, in a very bolded state, the word stimuli is given. So that's in changes in our surroundings that make us respond to them is called stimuli. What is the speciality of mimosa plant? Mimosa, touch me not. So the specialty is that the leaves would close or fold when someone touches them. So that is actually an example for the response to stimuli. Clear? Okay. Define excretion. Excretion is a process of getting rid of the waste present in the living organism's body. Okay, it's given in page number 90. So the process of getting rid of the waste by the living organism is called excretion. What is a reproduction? Reproduction is that the production of production of the progenies. So sorry, you may write like this: the living things produce more of their own kind through a process called reproduction. So reproduction is a process through which living organisms produce more of their own kind. It's given in page number 91. What are the different modes of reproduction? There are two modes of reproduction: sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction, that is the mother will give birth to the young ones, but in asexual reproduction they may actually, yes, They may either lay eggs, and so two modes of reproduction is either they lay eggs or they give birth to young ones. So just write like this, but in higher classes you will study that two modes of reproduction are sexual and asexual. Clear? How do plants reproduce? Give examples. They actually reproduce through seeds and through other methods too. Like they reproduce through cuttings too. So the two methods through which plants reproduce are that first one is through the seeds. They germinate and grow into new plants. Other through through other parts other than seeds, like for example, a part of potato with a bud grows into a new plant, as well as through cuttings, artificial methods and all. Clear? What is the importance of reproduction is that it helps in the continuity of life. Actually, you may elaborate all these points. Okay. How does cactus survive? That has already been discussed in case of desert plants. So just include those points. That's enough. Now next last question. What are life processes? Life processes are the processes which include what reproduction, respiration, expiration, etc., which helps in maintaining the life of an organism. So those processes which helps in maintaining the life of an organism, which include what all? Yes, response to stimuli, respiration, reproduction, growth, etc., are called life processes. So I hope you have got an idea about all these questions, answers, and if you have any doubts, do comment me on this session. Okay, so thank you for watching this video till the end. Do not forget to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon nearby, and do not give a thumbs up. And if you have any doubt regarding any session, and if you do want any help regarding the education, please do comment me below. And this is your tutor from Learn with E signing off till the next video. Okay, see you, bye.